35 Pokes is a metagame where every month, 35 Pokemon are randomly generated from our legal list of Pokemon. This randomness leads to wacky metas with just about anything you can think of being a top tier threat or at least viable. You end up with metas where Zebstrike is a top tier choice taking advantage of its high speed and Sap Sipper ability, Farigiraf being a solid slow pivot with Wish Passing, and even Shiinotic being a threatening offensive and defensive Pokemon with specs and Rocky Helmet sets forcing you to be prepared for anything. Because of how few Pokemon there are in any given month, there's often a large power gap between the few Pokemon that are top tier and the average Pokemon. Ironically enough, bad Pokemon are also often used despite their poor traits because they can counter or check a top threat. One of the biggest defining threats in the April 2025 metagame is Kingdra. Kingdra was immediately popular at the start of the month because of its threatening Focus Energy Scope Lens set, dubbed Critdra, where it sets up focus energy and agility if possible just to sweep through teams. When Type Null started being used to counter it, people began looking into other Kingdra sets and quickly found it to be an effective Dragon Dance cleaner. This also opened it up to using a bunch of different items like Lumberry, Habanberry, and Life Orb. Choice Scarf Kingdra is also a very effective revenge killer, outspeeding the dominant Cyclizar and flip turning for free momentum. Kingdra also has other more niche but relevant sets like Rain Dance and even Choice Band and Choice Specs sets. Along with Kingdra at the top of the viability rankings is Exploud, another threat because of how spammable Scrappy Boomburst is. With a Choice Specs equipped, little can actually switch into it besides Type Null, which has to worry about Choice Specs Focus Blast. Some people even opt to run Soundproof Exploud to counter opposing Exploud's choice locked into using Boomburst while running Shadow Ball to hit the ghost types. And for our final meta king, we have Cyclizar itself, who is notoriously dominant. With Choice Band, it threatens to deal huge neutral damage with Double Edge or Dragon Claw, clean games with Outrage, and has powerful moves like Power Whip to cripple what would be checks. Alternatively, it can also opt to run Specs to catch physical checks off guard, or Boots for a lot more utility, with Rapid Spin, Knock, U-Turn, essentially making it a Mienshao type Pokemon with big damage, utility, speed, momentum, and regenerator. Now with how strong these threats are, what Pokemon could possibly deal with all the threats? And that Pokemon is Bastiodon. Well, sort of. Bastiodon is a generally underwhelming Pokemon, with its poor defensive typing, a lack of healing, and all of that caused it to be ranked as a B+ Pokemon in the current April metagame. However, as the meta began to settle, it's seen a rise in usage because it can respond to some of the popular threats. By far, its biggest advantage is how reliable it is into Cyclizar. Not much can reliably answer Cyclizar without slowly folding into the combination of U-Turn and Knockoff. Bastiodon is one of the exceptions to that. It takes very little from Banded Knockoff and can threaten Cyclizar back with a Body Press one-hit KO. You also resist Choice Specs Draco Meteors and don't have to worry about its coverage because of Bastiodon's typing. Having access to Body Press is also huge because Exploud is commonly played with Cyclizar as they form a strong offensive core together. They completely counter each other's switch-ins, and having Body Press to threaten both of them is extremely useful. And while ghost types like Rotom and Dusknoir seem like free switch-ins into Bastiodon's Body Press, they run the risk of getting toxic. Which brings up another big boon for Bastiodon. It's a phenomenal toxic user. It's really no secret how strong Toxic is this month, with there being a handful of toxic immunities and a lot of toxic spam. Toxin is often just free progress into teams lacking Heal Bell, Miltank, or Chimecho. Pokemon that would in theory take advantage of Bastiodon like Gastrodon, Marowak, Crustle, they all fold to Toxic and are slowly chipped down as the game progresses. Bastiodon can also scout for Choice Kingdra Draco Meteors and doesn't hate taking flip turns that much. If its sturdy is intact, Bastiodon can also chip a Dragon Dance Kingdra into range of a teammate's priority, or revenge it with Metal Burst. Bastiodon also checks many other popular Pokemon like Swords Dance type Null, Non-Infestation Diplin, and Drampa. As you can see, Dragon types are a big threat this month, except he's Shelgon, sorry. And though these are all valuable traits, they are not without their problems. While you can scout Focus Blast from Exploud with Protect, Silk Scarf sets have become somewhat popular, which can bait in Bastiodon and bring it down to sturdy with Focus Blast. Thankfully, you can usually pivot around with fighting resists like Tentacruel or Chimecho. There's also the daunting fear of Kingdra just clicking a water move into you, and if your opponent plays it right, Cyclizar can knock your leftovers and overwhelm Bastiodon with a combination of U-Turn and hazards. And let's not forget Bastiodon's 4x ground weakness. Though it can eat Earthquakes from non-stab users like Crustle and Dusknoir relatively well, it hates ground moves from Gastrodon, Marowak, and the ever-present Donphan. Hell, even Wormadam Sandy Cloak has an advantageous matchup into Bastiodon. And let's not forget Tentacruel, who's a true thorn in Bastiodon's side. With it being able to eat Body Press from Bastiodon and being Toxic Immune, Tentacruel turns Bastiodon into flip turn fodder, and there's not much Bastiodon can do, but over time Tentacruel will fold to hazards, but early game Tentacruel can be a real pain for Bastiodon. Even though Bastiodon gains its crippling water weakness and increased ground weakness from its rock typing, ironically rock types have been pretty decent in this new meta defensively. Boomburst and Double Edge are just so spammable that Bastiodon, Cradily, Colossal, and even Corsola have all proven effective because of their normal resistance. Despite starting out fairly unexplored, Bastiodon has slowly found a place in the meta, and is a good example of the type of freedom that is enabled by the restrictive nature of 35 pokes. And if you yourself want to play 35 pokes, we currently have a playable ladder for the month of April on Pokemon Showdown under the National Dex Other Metagames category. We also have a Discord server with over 1,500 users and sample teams as well, and an active community that won't mind helping you team build and such. If you feel like it might be too late to start this late in the meta, just hang out until the May meta rolls around, where you can catch the reveal stream live on the 35 Pokes Twitch, where we do wacky games and all sorts of stuff to slowly reveal the new meta. Alrighty guys, thank you for watching. This is Sxitty, and I'll catch you later.